Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Another plug for you guys to join the Locked On Cougars Insider Group. Get the inside scoop on all things BYU sports. The best part is it's just $5 a month to join the group. It comes to your phone. The updates in the form of a text message. And the best part is you get a 14-day free trial before you're charged a single dime for it all. So join us right now on the Locked On Cougars Insider Group and stay in the know when it comes to all things BYU. All right, before we go on today's show, I want to take a minute and crow a little bit about BYU's head coach. Kevin Young has been just absolutely awesome. Let's remember, he has not even been on the job at BYU for a full year. That would come next month, is the full year, the 1 year anniversary of his taking the job at BYU. And BYU paid a pretty penny, reportedly north of $4 million, to yank him out of the NBA and make him the head coach of BYU. It is every dime that BYU required to get him to Provo has been repaid, if not tenfold at this point. The exposure, the accomplishments, everything that Kevin Young has accomplished as BYU's head coach, as a rookie head coach, might I add, has been awesome. And I know I'm getting up in my feels when I talk about stuff like this, but the nice part about a guy like Kevin Young is you can tell that he is wholly unsatisfied until he wins the whole thing. He wants to win a national championship. He wants to win national championships with the BYU basketball program. Now, the question I will posit there is, if he were to pull off a national championship, would he remain at BYU long enough to win national championships? Because I also understand that with his track record of success as a high-level developer of talent in the NBA, what he's proven at BYU already, you got to think there's going to be NBA teams who will be like, hey, Kevin, you interested in coming back to the pro game, and we'll pay you $8, $9, $10 million? That's not out of the realm of possibility in the NBA, folks. We're talking about NBA coaches who are making tens of millions of dollars annually. And that's BYU. They may have infinite funds for player acquisition. Do they have infinite funds for a coach? Now, that's a conversation for down the road, because I don't think he's going to spurn BYU after just 1 year. I think it would take a little bit of time, because I think his wife, speaking of Kevin Young, they really like being at BYU. He talked about the fact he was excited to take the job at BYU because, yes, being a coach is tough. There's a lot of hours required watching film and all that. But the nice part is, as a coach in the NBA, you're on the road, I don't know how many days of the year, and you're spending time in a hotel room away from your family. With college basketball, you play twice, 3 times at the most in a week. And a lot of times, at least one of those games is at home. So you get extra downtime with your wife and kids. Yes, you may have to step into your office to break down film and all that stuff. You may take phone calls, talking to recruits, but you're still at home. You're still around your family. And that's, I think, a major, major part of why Kevin Young came to BYU in the first place. And I think a big part of why he's not going to be super eager to jump back to the NBA. Now, once again, money would talk, but what he has accomplished, truthfully, what he has accomplished in less than a year at the helm of the BYU basketball program is absolutely incredible. It's historic type stuff. Legend status is already being bestowed upon him. Who would have thought that after Mark Pope left BYU, there was some question, okay, can they pick up the pieces? Can they keep this thing going? They just had a breakthrough in their first year in the Big 12 Conference. What's it going to take BYU and keep that rolling where they're at right now? Well, Kevin Young took what BYU was at, added to it, and just like increased it by, I don't know, tenfold, it feels like. It is absolutely masterful to watch him go about his job in-game. He is an in-game savant. His after timeout calls, his ability to adjust on the fly. He will call timeouts at any point during the shot clock if he feels like he has something that inspired him and say, hey, I want to call timeout. I want to dry something up here. And more often than not, it works. We had Trevin Nell on with DJ and PK, my radio station, the KSL Sports Zone, and he talked about what Kevin Young has meant to him. He said, we go in practice, and Kevin Young will draw up a play and says, I get the same shot, the same look, and it's a perfect look every single time. He's a master at doing this. It's awesome to hear a guy like Trevin Nell talk about that, because the so-called shot doctor that people like to call Trevin, he needs good looks to tee him up. But if you can generate those time and time again, that means it's a system that works. And that's what Kevin Young has brought to the BYU basketball program. Yes, Kevin Young deserves everything that's coming to him. I would wholeheartedly endorse BYU already beginning negotiations on a new contract with Kevin Young to make sure that he is wholly satisfied being in Provo, Utah for the long term, and he's wanting to do what BYU hopes to accomplish, and that is make it to a Final Four, win a national championship, things that BYU basketball has not experienced. Kevin Young sure looks like he has the chops to get it done. Yes, something could cause that to be short-circuited. We all know that. Injury, downright bad luck. There's so many different things that go into that, but so long as Kevin Young continues to do what he's doing and he continues to add the talent that BYU appears to have coming in the form of AJ DeBonsa, as well as the other guys coming in to this program, it sure feels like the good times are ready to roll for quite some time, so long as Kevin Young is happy being in Provo. Yeah, it may require a couple of raises here or there to make sure that the status quo stays the status quo for BYU, but the status quo right now, it's pretty dang awesome, and you better keep it going. That's an unsolicited advice from me to whoever gets the athletic director job at BYU, whether it's Brian Santiago, Tom Holm, I don't care who's it running things at BYU, Keith Vorking, Shane Reese. All y'all need to make sure that KYU, he's happy, he's rewarded, and he's getting the things he needs to succeed at BYU. BYU basketball obviously is riding high right now. BYU football is also riding high. Your two chief revenue generating sports need to have the most resources allocated to them to continue to do just that. I love the fact that BYU, from my vantage point, and trust me, I'm sitting here in my home studio here in Saratoga Springs, Utah, talking about this. But from my vantage point, BYU has not been this in on college sports, and most particularly football and basketball, since the 1980s when they won a national title in college football and obviously had some incredible runs with the teams of the 80s in basketball. It's felt like at times during the 20-aughts that there have been administrations at BYU, the board of trustees, et cetera, who have been like, is sports really worth it? It feels that way. I don't have any inside intel on that. It's just like I said, my vantage point, my perception is they've been a little bit out on college sports. Whereas right now, they're all in on it, and they should remain all in on it for the long haul. It is a major, major missionary tool. I'll point you directly to guys like Rondo Philberg, who can point you to more in-depth conversation about this. But they say when BYU's winning it big, and they talk about winning big in football and basketball, missionaries have more success. There's more people interested in hearing about the message of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And that all comes back to the job that Kevin Young is doing as BYU's head coach. We are lucky to have him at the helm of this program. I would have never thought a year ago when he was hired that he would do what he's accomplished already for BYU. And there is still more that he could do in the next few days. Wow. What a run. What a fun time. And let's all celebrate what BYU is doing right now with Kevin Young at the helm of this program, and be happy that he wanted to be a BYU, because he made it very clear that he could have stuck around in the NBA. He could have been an NBA head coach, and he decided, you know what? I'm going to step away from what looks like a career arc of going to the NBA, and I'm going to go take a bet and see what I can do at BYU. And man, what an incredible match it has been for BYU and Kevin Young so far. And here's hoping it continues for the long haul. All right, that'll do it for today's edition of the podcast. As always, y'all are the best. Thank you so much for your support. Cannot thank you guys enough for continuing to rate, review, share this with your family and friends. We're riding high right now, obviously, with what BYU's accomplished, but continue to be a part of the community and continue to spread the word about this podcast. It's all because of you guys, the success we're having when it comes to the podcast. And I can't thank you guys enough for all the support you have lent in the days, weeks, and months before this, but obviously in the days to come, and we'll have plenty more coverage for you guys as always here on Locked On Cougars. So as I often say, signing off now, I will say it one more time. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day, and thank you to all of you who are everydayers right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.